Are you tired of delivering lackluster presentation? Do you wish there is a way to ensure your slides are engaging, concise, and visually appealing every time? Look no further. In this video, I explore how you can assemble, run, and customize a powerful tool that will revolutionize the way you create presentation. My name is Mustafa, and welcome to my channel where we talk about data engineering, database stacks. But today, we'll be doing something different because we are in the build with Google AI season, and I'll be dedicating this video to the build with Google AI. World of Slide Advisor project, an open source Google Workspace add-on dedicated to elevate your presentation game using cutting-edge artificial intelligence technology. Whether you're a seasoned presenter or you're just getting started, this tool is here to help. How many times have you found yourself cramming too much information onto a single slide? Or perhaps you struggle to incorporate compelling visuals into your presentation. With the Slide Advisor project, those days are behind you. These innovative tools leverage Google's Gemini API to analyze your Google Slides against a set of guidelines, providing real-time feedback and suggestion for improvement. But here is where it even gets better. You have the power to customize these guidelines to align with your organization recommendation or personal preferences. Say goodbye to generic feedback and hello to tailored insight that will take your presentation to the next level. So if you are excited just like me to learn more about this Slide Advisor project and how you can extend its capabilities, be sure to watch this clip to the very end. So what are you waiting for? Join me as I embark on a journey to transform the way you create presentation. Let's unleash the full potential of your slide with the Slide Advisor project. So for today, we'll be building an AI slide reviewer with Gemini, and we'll be following the instruction from the Google AI for developers. I'll link this website in the description. So to get started, the first thing you would have to do is have a slide or just a template slide that you want to evaluate the information on. And here's my template slide I'll be using for today. So I'll be trying as much as possible to follow the instructions here so that those following me can also have time to look at the instructions and build the platform that we are going to build at the end. So the first thing is to use the extension and app script. Then we'll rename our project as something like my slide advisor. So the first thing under extension, app scripts. So this is where we are. Under this untitled project, we'll just rename it as my slide advisor. Then you click on rename. So the next thing we want to do is we want to prepare the project files. So there are some codes that we'll be using for building our slide advisor project, and these codes are readily available on GitHub. So we'll just go ahead and copy them, and I'll do some little explanation on each and every one of them while I am building them. So the first thing we want to do is we'll rename some of these files, we'll rename them, and we'll use the name that are like coherent to what the code is doing in this project. So let's go to our editor view. This is our editor view from this left menu editor view. So this code.js would rename the code.js to main.js. So you can copy this. So from here you can rename, let's rename it main.main. It will automatically add the JS to it. So let's also create some other file. So we'll make the project appscript.json manifest file to be visible. So to make that one visible, under the project settings, we'll just decide to show that. So let's go to the project settings here. Then when we go downward, show the appscript.json manifest file in editor. So that we should be able to see that in the editor now. So let's go back to our editor, and you can see that we can also see those two. Yeah, so the next instruction is under the editor view, we would now create some scripts, would create some files. So the first one would create and would enter UI. So it would create a UI.js code file. So let's do that. So let's add a new file. It will be a script. We'll name it UI. It should automatically input the JS. So we'd also create new ones for slides and AI. So let's just do that. A script, slide, then last one, scripts, then AI. So these are all the major files we'll be needing for now in this project. So we have the slides. Let's make this as. So I think we are good to go for now with the instructions here. So we should have something like this: the app script, the main, the UI, the slide, and the AI. We have app script, main, UI, slide, and AI. So we are good to go. So the next thing is to get the project code. So to get the project code, we would navigate to the project code repository for the project manifest file, and this is something like this. Which, so when you click on this, it will open a new tab for you, and that's where we are going to grab our code from. So that's where we'll grab our code from for this project. Yeah, so we have the file here. You can go inside the file, and this is everything that we have here. So we'll start copying them one by one. As we'll start copying them one by one as we are following the instruction. So the first thing is select the appscript.json file and paste the code into it. So for the appscript.json file, this is it, the one that we opened here. This is the appscript.json file, and we would copy all this code that are here. So an high level overview of what this code does is that this code is a manifest file in JSON format, and you can see it's in JSON format for the Google Workspace add-on called the Slide Advisor. So the add-on that we are creating, Slide Advisor, this is the manifest file for it, and it typically just defines various settings and configuration required for the add-on to function properly within Google Slide. So you can see that this manifest files, it contains or it provides the essential configuration details for the Slide Advisor add-on, including the dependencies, the OAuth scopes, and triggers, allowing it to integrate seamlessly with Google Slides and provide its intended functionality to users. So if we take a deliberate look at this code, we can see the time zone is set to America, Denver here. We have the exception login method, which uses the stack driver, which is now called cloud monitoring. So the runtime version is version 8, which is the newer version of the AppScript runner for the Google AppScript on JavaScript. So we have different dependencies here. We have the dependencies here that we are going to be using, and we also have the OAuth scopes, which specify the OAuth scopes required by these add-ons. So, and we also have the add-on. So these are the part of the add-on here. So in overview, what this code does is just to provide the essential configurations for the Slide Advisor add-on projects and its dependencies. So you can copy this guy here, and let's go to our app script. So here we are on our app script under the manifest this JSON. So we can paste this one here, and because I am in Lagos, Nigeria, I'm going to use this time zone that is more applicable to my own. So it does not necessarily affect anything, but I'm just going to personalize it further, and I will to remove this upper part that's not there before that came with it. So this is the code that we are using, and I'll just save it, which Ctrl X. So that's about that. So the next thing we are doing, following the instruction, trying to follow the instruction as much as possible. So we also have to repeat this same procedure for the main.js code. So looking at the main.js code, so here we are on our GitHub under the main.js. So what this main.js code, it is also a code designed to enhance the Google Slide presentation by providing analysis and feedback on the slides. So the functions that are in here, they work together to provide the core functionalities of this add-on, and that's why it's called, we also name it main.js. So it analyzes the slide, it helps us display the results to the users within the Google Slide interface. So this adds-on also enhances the presentation experience by offering insights and recommendation for improving the slide content and design. So if you take a look at what this code contains also, so we have the function on home page opened, which it is just the function that serves as the main entry point for the add-on when it is opened. Then we also have the on analyze slide click. So this function is triggered when a button in the add-on is clicked to analyze the current slide, and it performs some of these steps. It gets the presentation ID, gets the page ID, the thumbnails, the speaker notes, then now run some analysis on them. So this is just pretty much what this main.js does. Then we can copy this part. So let's copy the code. So when we've copied the code, let's go to our main.js here. So we're just going to remove this part here, then paste the new code here, then save it. So that's about that. And following the instruction once again, the UI.js. So we are now on the UI.js. And for the UI.js, we would also copy the code here, which is the one here. And what the UI.js code just does. So this code, it defines two functions and a helper method for building a card in a Google Workspace add-on. So this code typically just defines the functions for formatting markdown style text into HTML and for building a card with buttons and text paragraph, which can be used to provide a user interface for analyzing slide in a Google Workspace add-on. So if you take a look at what the code contains, so we have the format output function, which just takes a string input and formats it from a subset of a markdown into HTML tag suitable for text paragraph widgets. So that's what that function does. And the second function, which is the build analyze slide card. So this function constructs a card for analyzing a slide in the Google Workspace add-on. So it takes an optional result parameter which represents the analysis result to be displayed on the card. So these are the functions that are here, the major functions that are here, and that's a high level overview of what they do. So we can also copy this code here, and after copying the code, we'll go back to so the UI.js. We're going to delete the previous one here and paste the new one in. Then we can also save this. So after saving this, the next one that we are going to is the slide.js. So and after going to the slide.js, we'll now go to our GitHub code and copy it from there. So here we are on the slide.js. So what the slide.js contains, it contains functions that are intended to be used as part of a Google Workspace add-on for Google Slide. So the functions provide like a utility method for retrieving information about the slides, such as their user ID, the thumbnails, and speaker notes, which can be used within a Google Slide add-ons to enhance its functionalities. So taking a look at the functions in the code, we have the get selected page ID, which is a function that retrieves the ID of the currently viewed page. That means the active Google Slide presentation, and it does this by accessing the active presentation slide using the slide.get active presentation. After that, you can get that particular information. So the next function we have here is the get presentation function ID, and this get presentation function ID, it just helps us to retrieve the ID of the currently viewed presentation. So it accesses the active presentation using slide app.get active presentation, this method here, and returns its ID. So if no presentation is found, it's just going to return null. So and after that, we also have the fetch thumbnail function. So this function fetches the thumbnail image for the given slide, and it takes the presentation ID and the page ID as parameters. So it's more of like works in a case whereby it makes a call to the slide API to get the thumbnail metadata for the specified slide. And if the metadata is available, it extracts the thumbnail's URL and it fetches the image using the URL fetch app.fetch. So this one that we have here. So that's I don't want to bore you with too much technical details, and that's just about that. And also another function used here is the fetch speaker note function, which just fetches the speaker note for the given slides. It takes the presentation ID and the page ID as parameters. And the flatten text function, which is a function. So this function is like an helper function, and it is used by the fetch speaker note. So when you go to this flatten text, it is used by the fetch speaker note function, and what it typically does is just it flattens the text elements into a single string. So that's about that, and that's typically all the function here. And for now, so let's copy the code here. After copying the code, we can go to our app script and paste it here also. Then we save it, then which is the last one I would be copying, which is the AI dot gs or dot js, depending on what you call, depending on the extension that you want to use, but you can use gs. They are like JavaScript files, but .js also work for that. Let's copy the code for the AI.js, which is here. So, and what this code majorly entails. So it's implement a function, analyze slides. So this function is designed to analyze the slide from a presentation and provide constructive feedback based on various criteria such as simplicity. So we have simplicity here, we have color and typography, we have the structure and workspace, we have the graphics and icon. So this feedback is now generated using an artificial intelligence model, and in this case we are using the Gemini API, so which is also part of the Google AI platform. So it leverages Google AI platform and adheres to two best practices for authentication and error handling. So if we take a look at the code in Tutu, so we can see that we are defining some constants here, which are the model ID and the location. So the model ID just refers to the specific AI model that is being used. In this case, we are using the Gemini Pro Vision, and the location that we are using, which is US West 1. Then it takes some system prompt. So this constant, it contains a prompt that will be displayed to the user before they review the slide. And this prompts, they are written in human readable format, because you are using a generative AI platform in the background. You are using the Gen AI model in the background, which is this Gemini Pro Vision. So you can take readable format. So this is where we are prompting the instruction. So you can edit this human readable instructions and machine readable instruction also. You can edit it this format, and the Gemini API, the Gemini Pro Vision, is going to understand what you are writing there, and it's going to implement what you are writing. So it's not even so it's not codified, it's just written in human readable format, and it's what you specify into all these things that are going to be implemented when you are running your files, and that's going to influence the results that we are also getting. So this just outlines the tasks and provide guidelines for evaluating the slides on various aspects, like I mentioned before. Then the other function we have here is analyze slide function. So this function is the core of this script, and it takes a slide object as an input. Then it analyzes it using the Gemini API and return feedback based on the analysis. So you can see we have some generation configuration, some safety setting, some slide paths, and we also have the contents, and we also have the body. So the another function we have here is the credentials for Vertex AI function. So this function would retrieve all the credentials required for accessing the Vertex AI service, which hosts the Gemini API. So it reads the service account key from the script properties, it set up the OAuth authentication, and return the necessary credentials. So this is what allows us to interact with the service accounts that we're going to configure along the line in this project. And that's all about the AI code. So we can just copy it here, and after copying it, let's go to our app scripts and paste that information here. Then we can also save it. So following the instruction, we'll go back to our instruction command. So the next thing we want to do is we want to connect our Google Cloud project to this. So if you'd have to have a Google Cloud account, you have to be signed in, and you have to have configure billing before you can also do all these things that I'm going to be doing. So the first thing would, in the API and service, would enable our API and service, and we'll look for the Vertex AI API. So when we look for the Vertex AI API, we'll try to enable it. So this is my Google Cloud project that I have here, and I can come here under API and service, enable the API and services. So under enable API and services, I'm just going to search for that particular API here, and I'm going to enable it. So Vertex AI API, this is the Vertex AI API. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to enable it. So I'm enabling the Vertex AI API here. Yeah, so we've enabled our Vertex AI API, and how you would know that we've enabled it is now we have an option to disable. So this is to show that we've enabled it. So let's keep following the instruction. So after we've enabled our API, so that's all we need to do here. So if you don't have a billing account, you have to have a billing account to do this, and you can now see that we have Vertex AI API listed on this page. So this is the Vertex API, and it's already enabled for us, so which is fine. And you can also see it here, the Vertex AI API here. So that's about that. So following the next instruction, let's create a service account. So this service account, the slide advisor adds on, is going to use an authenticated connection to your cloud project so that not just anyone can just access your account. So we are going to create that connection by first generating a service account in our Google Cloud project that has access to that Vertex API. So service account is just like granting resources to machines, or granting permissions to machines instead of granting it to humans. So now you're granting permissions to machines. So when you grant that permissions to that machine will be able to do that particular thing that role can also do if it was granted to a normal human being or a normal user. So that's why we are using a service account. And to do that, we'll create credentials. Under credentials, create credentials. Then under service account, we would now create our service account. Name, ID, and description. Okay, so following the instruction one by one, we have the credentials here. Then let's create our credentials. Service account. So the service account name. So the service account name, let's see, did they ask us to use any service account names? I think we are at liberty to name this service account anything we want. So I can just use slide advisor. Yeah, so and the description is just Gemini API. I'm just using Gemini API for slides advisor. So let's create and continue. And after that, we'll grant the required role to this service account. So if the service account does not have the required role to execute the task that you want it to execute, it's going to fail along the line. So you must grant that particular role to that service account. So the role that we are granting here is Vertex AI user. So you can copy it here and we can select the role or just search the role. So Vertex AI user, this is Vertex AI user, then we'll click on continue. So, and I think after that we'll just click on done. So let's click on done. And our service account is now created. This is our service account here, the slide advisor. So the next thing we'll want to do is want to create and install the service account key. So this create and install the service account key. So typically when you are doing this, you're not supposed to do it in the open, in the public for people to see, and I'm doing a video. So after this recording, I'm going to delete that particular key. So if you are thinking of playing smart and using my service account key, it's not going to be accessible for you. So under our credentials, or in the service account section, we'll find the service accounts that we have. So in this credentials, in the service account, so then we'll go to keys. So after we go to keys, then we'll add and create a new key. So let's add key. We'll create a new key, and we are using a JSON as it also access to use. Let's use a JSON here. So this step would create a key file, name this one, and it's automatically download it in our computer. So we would have our key file here, then we'll create it, and it's downloaded. It has downloaded it here. So I can close this thing out. When I'm ready, I'll copy that particular file, that particular key. So the next thing we want to do is we'll now open our app scripts under this slide advisor project, and we'll select the settings. So in the script properties, so let's do it one by one. This is our under a project settings, and add a new script property. So it will be something like this. You're adding a new script property. So the property here is this service account key, following the instruction that we are giving us. So under this field, this service account key, so this value is already templated in the code, and it's just going to retrieve it from there. And in the value field, we'd copy our service account, the one that we downloaded. So when we downloaded something, and when we click on this thing, so it's going to lead to this code. So you have your code on your system also in the command. So I'll copy this guy here, and after copying this guy, then I would paste it under this value. Then I would save the script properties. So after saving the script properties, then I can now deploy. So let's test our deployment. So we'll test the deployment. So we have Google Workspace add-on. You click on this, you select this Google Workspace add-on. Mine is selected already. Then you test the latest code. After testing the latest code, then you would install. I've installed this before, so I'm going to uninstall and install again. So I'll just install it. After installing it, so you'd see that it's going to show installed add-ons. After installing the add-ons, then I'll click on done. So after clicking on done, we are done for this. So I would go back to our project, which is our slide. We started off from going off from the slide, and we are also coming back from going on the slide. So we'll refresh the slide page. So after refreshing the slide page, I would know our project, our slide advisor is on. Is we would see this eye icon here. So this is the slide advisor. When we click on it, it's going to show us this page. So if you're clicking on this for the first time, it will ask you to authenticate. And when you authenticate, you would authenticate with your email account of this project. So, and which is also the email account of the cloud project that I created at a particular times. So you would authenticate access. After you authenticate access, so it may show some security issues like do you trust this particular user? So if you trust the user, since you are the one accessing yourself, you trust the user, and it's going to prompt you to give access to slide for some particular informations. So when you accept those prompts, then you click on continue. So it will take you back here, and you would be authenticated. So the next thing I want to do is evaluate the slide. So I can evaluate each and every of these slide one by one. So if I'm evaluating the first slide, I'll click on evaluate slide. So when I click on evaluate slide, it's going to pick all these things that are here, like we explained in the command, picking the thumbnail, picking the visual, picking the speaker notes, and it's going to take them over the Gen AI model, which we are using, the Gemini Vision Pro, and it's going to return all the information, all the system prompt that we access to return here. So you can see it's returning to have the simplicity 100, color and typography 100, structure and white space 100, graphics and icon 100. We can test for multiple slides. Let's evaluate this slide also. So don't forget that you are evaluating for individual slide and not the whole one at a go. So you can see the result for this one. Let's check the other one here. Let's evaluate this guy once again. So this is also giving me 100. So it looks like I have 100 on most of them. But let's try another one. Let me try this one. So we're evaluating it. This also gives 100, and it's actually backing up the point for giving 100. Something that is bad. So let me bring this one down. Let me put this image on some text, and let's evaluate this slide again. So yeah, so you can see the result now. You can see what it's giving. The main message of this slide is unclear. The slide has a picture of two anime characters with text on the left side. It is unclear what the relationship between the two main characters is, or what the text means. So you can see that when I distorted this slide, it is really giving me a bad score. It's giving me 0 over 100 for simplicity, 0 over 100 for color and typography, 0 over 100 for structure and white space, and 0 over 100 for graphics and icon. So I can just take this back to the normal format, and you can run this on different things that you have in your slides to see an overview of the score that is giving you for this thing. And like I said, you can customize it. You can make it more strict. You can increase the temperature of the model so that it can give more results. So like the model will be more unstable, and it's a variable result. So you can see for this one, it's telling me that the simplicity is 85, not 100 in this case. The color and typography is 75, and it's also telling me the things that I can improve. So the slide has a consistent font, but the font size is too small. The colors are also too light and do not have a high contrast ratio. So it's giving me a result, and it's also offering suggestions that we can get out of this, and we can make this more beautiful. So you can see on the overall, this slide is not very effective. The main message is not clear, the text is too small, and the colors are too light. The slide will be better if it had a more relevant image, a larger font size, and a more consistent contrast between the color. So yeah, so reduce performance and cognitive problems. So may not necessarily, this picture may not necessarily talk about what is actually happening in the text. So which I actually definitely agree, and I feel I can do better with that particular slide. So let's evaluate this one as the last trial before we go on to some other things. Yeah, so I have 100/100 for this, and you can see this. The main message is physical symptoms, and this image also depicts someone who is undergoing some physical symptoms. So it's clear that this person is really down, and it emphasizes the message. It's relevant to the text and helps to make a point. Yeah, so that's an high level overview of what we are going to do today. So we can keep following the instructions to make some few tweaks before we now call it a day. So we can modify the review behavior, and we can also change the review guidelines. So let's change some review guidelines. And so what we are going to do is that we are going to add this, show the score next to the category heading. So you can see that in this case, let's go back to this slide. So in this case, it's showing the score after the category heading. So we have simplicity, then we have the next space, then score of 100. So now we want it to show the score next to the category heading. Let's see if the Gemini AI is smart enough to detect that and also do what we asked it to do. We'll just copy this command here. Let's go to our app scripts. So like I said, you can access your app script from the extension and app script. So your app script code is already saved, since we already saved it and it's here already. And so let's go to our ai.js. That's where the command is. So let's for each of the following, let's see how the instruction asks us to use it on a scale of 0 to 100. So we'll just add this here. Show the score next to the category heading. So I've added this new text, show the score next to the category heading. And I don't want to use simplicity again. Let me say I want to use something like message. Let me say something like message. And graphics. Let me say graphics, pictures, and icons. I know this is more of tautology, but I just want you to know that this actually changes in the model, and we are not just doing something that does not work. So let's save our code. After saving our code, we would also deploy. So let's test deployment. So deploy our code. We'll test the latest code. We can uninstall this and install it once again. So we are installing it once again, and after that, you'll see that it has installed the add-ons. Then we can click on done. So after clicking on done, let's go back to our project and refresh this page. Let's refresh this page. So we've refreshed this page now. We are waiting for the add-on to get built. So you can see it's still loading here. Yeah, so our project is now built. This is the add-on. When we click on the slide advisor, so let's evaluate this current slide once again. And now we can see that this guy has changed to message, and now it is showing the score next to the heading. It's showing the score. So it was not doing it as message then score 100. So it's showing the score next to the heading, which shows that the Gemini model is smart enough to understand your prompt and effect it in the slide advisor project. So that's pretty much it for now. And if you enjoyed this slide, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this particular use case. If it's not too much of a stress, if it actually helps you to boost your productivity, if it actually helps you to make your slide more exciting, and if it actually helps you to also troubleshoot your slide without having a necessary human extra eye at that particular moment. So that's about that. And thank you very much for staying through till the end of this particular walkthrough. And make sure you share to your loved ones. Likewise, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Bye for now.